Breaking news on the US side. We already broke this maybe 12 hours ago, but cold email warmup as we know it is dead, specifically on any tool that uses the Google API. Check this out. So a little while ago, AJ, AJ Goel, who's the founder of GMass, one of the, or maybe the largest cold email tool in terms of volume, got this letter, time-sensitive letter from Google. Time-sensitive, compliance with Gmail API services user data policy. Basically what it says is Google is removing all tools that use the Google API from API access if they use Warmup. Now, this was something we talked about a couple weeks ago, but now the new update is it's a complete wipe of Warmup. So joining us for round 2 of the breaking news.
Wow, man, this is
what up,
dude? A day, dude. I just
cold email expert.
I can't even believe what's going on right now. I mean, when I look at this right now, this is probably the biggest day in cold email history, just because of the reach. I mean, the reach that they're having, where they're saying you can't even market on your website, your own website. You own the website, correct?
Yeah. So what we're basically seeing is, and just to bring everybody up to speed, so GMass in the past had paid what, 40 grand, 50 grand to get Google to verify them and say their tool was okay. Now Google has basically said that money is gone, and then so they said that. And then they made some changes, and not just GMass, but Lemlist, a bunch of these tools made a bunch of changes because Google had basically said you can have API access as long as the warmup is IMAP. That was what that's what was assumed. However, now they've come back again, and they're like, you can't use warmup at all. You got to remove it from your SEO. You got to remove it from your Twitter accounts. You got to remove it from your ads.
We can't even talk about it.
It's a lot. We're here to talk about it. It's a lot of labor. So what do we think in general, Jesse, on Google's inconsistency on this issue here?
Well, it's really interesting you asked that question, Alex, because what we're seeing is, you know, they kind of were letting cold emailers have their day, right? Like there's been the case studies out there right now. I mean, all of us that are found this avenue have just been, you know, it's been a printing press, if you will. But what's nice about cold email is it's actually an internet protocol. So really nobody owns it. It's just about getting past spam filters. Now, Google has the best engineers, according to the Google, but you know, this is just the way it is. It's the future of outbound in general, I think, is going to be, how do you get past spam traps, really? And how do you beat algorithms, right? Like, you know, it's sort of a matrix that you're kind of going through. And if you can figure out the way through it, you know, you're the chosen one, I guess, is really what's going on.
I agree. Here's a quick question from Christian. And by the way, guys, this is a Q&A. So if you want to see the actual
let's get some questions.
Breaking news video, check out the one from this morning. I think we went for 45 minutes talking about this from every single possible angle we could think of. This one is on Eastern Time, Pacific Time, US. So let's get some questions in. Quick question here from Christian Morris. Should marketers still use these tools, or does that put our email rep at risk?
Well, I would say it's not going to put your reputation at risk. You know, there's no science behind that. I mean, you own the email, right? You own the email account. You could send emails if you'd like. That's part of the process. If you are on Google's services and you're sending, you know, I mean, I guess, you know, I'm not encouraging you to break any terms and services of any contract you have. But, you know, you should really understand what you're doing, right? You know, email warmup is a gray hat tactic at the end of the day, right? And I think this is going to create a tremendous opportunity for people to build agencies, because there's so many companies that are just not even going to think about the risk. You talk to their IT team and you start asking them about doing this, they're going to laugh at you. They're going to laugh. You know, if you're a sales rep sitting here saying, oh man, I can't use my Mailshake API warmup anymore, I got to go to IMAP. I mean, good luck getting that through your IT team, because that's not going to be a fun story, right? Like that is going to, I mean, you know, they're not even going to entertain it. So anyways, you know, rambling here, but I think that's the point. You know, it's going to be hard.
Companies can now hire agencies to run the Warmup tools
Mhm.
for them, and then they'll have plausible deniability. So this is actually really good for a tool like Omni.us, the one that I run. It's a good piece of news for anyone that has IMAP. So even Instantly has IMAP. A bunch of these guys, the one you like, Vapehov's startup, also has IMAP as well. So as long as they have IMAP, and actually, here's a quick question from DT. Just joined. Is Instantly still safe? Instantly is a little buggy right now. I know our latest campaign, the reply tracking is broken, but on this on this thing, yes, it's still safe. I would, however, if you're using OAuth 2, meaning on your Instantly account, if you're logging into Gmail at all, I would remove that and I would switch back to the old way of using IMAP and an app password, because that sends directly through the servers. So if you use OAuth in any way, Google can see it, even through these third-party unapproved tools, the way that Instantly and a lot of these other guys do it, when they don't want to pay the $30K fee. It's still going to be tracked. Shri, Instantly is bugging out, bro. I know, dude. We were doing podcast outreach using our Instantly account recently, and we got reply tracking breaking. So Shri's switching it to Omni. I know, switching everything over to Omni.us. So yeah, feel free to ask some questions. We can ask some other questions too about cold email. I would keep it on the technical side though. If you want to talk about, what's better, Zoho, Google Workspace, or Outlook, we can talk a little bit about that. But we're going to keep it on that, not on the framing of the email. Instantly is not tracking replies and also sending follow-ups after lead reply, bro. They're aware of the issues. This isn't going to be an Instantly hate stream. They're aware of the issues.
Those guys have made a lot of people a lot of money, so let's be nice. This is a community here in itself. Let's be nice to everybody. Everybody's working together to get back to the primary inbox. That's the way I look at it.
Exactly right. So to come back to Christian's quick question, should marketers still use these tools? I, for one, am going to continue using Warmup. I think IMAP is safe. And I think in a world where everyone stops using Warmup, the people using Warmup have an advantage. And for that very specific reason, Warmup's never going to go away. They're going to have to kill it. And they never can because there's a Warmup space race going on right now. Right? Mm-hmm. It used to be in the way LemWarm worked, in a way a lot of the other Warmup tools worked. You could just send lorem ipsum text, just placeholder text back and forth, and it would warm it up. Then they had to switch to actual scripts with some spin tags going back and forth. Then it became GPT-3, and then it became changing the tags of the warm-up to randomized tags, and now it's going to be something else. So the world is moving on. I do not think Warmup's dead, and I'm still going to use it. I do have a question for you, though, Jesse. Would you use Warmup on your primary domain the way Warmup is right now?
OPSEC, you got to really keep your primary domain very, first of all, you just don't want to take the risk, right? What's the point, right? You don't, there's no gain if you ever had any damage done to that. I mean, the further away from your primary, ship is where you got to store sort of the engagement model, right? Like you want to be in as many of these platforms as you can. You actually, and I was talking about this earlier, and by the way, thank you for retweeting that, but you actually want to be sending your customers messages from the same network they're hosting their email on. You'll get a huge advantage against the algorithm when you're doing this, because it's going to favor its own. And even if you're warming up inside that network, you're going to get an even better advantage. So this is some of the things I've been talking about. You really got to understand how machine learning works, AI, right? There's bias. The bias is going to exist when, they score each other, right? Google's going to rate Google higher and Microsoft's going to rate Microsoft higher for obvious reasons. And probably
this is something that, this is something where I think people start zoning out. This is like the advanced email tactics. This is the kind of stuff that's going to become more and more.
You're going to need it.
Yeah, you're going to need it in the future. Like, you're sending to Google Workspace. Okay, warm up your accounts and send via Google Workspace. You're sending to people that use Outlook, more of the corporate enterprise accounts. You better be warming up and using Outlook for sending. And then if you're sending to people that use Zoho, pray, dude, because I don't think you're going to be making any money.
Right. You're not getting routed through China or like.
Yeah, exactly. Is it quick question for DC. Is it a bad time to start a cold email lead gen agency? This news is a little disheartening.
Whew. So I would say absolutely not. I think this is the opportunity. What's nice about this actually for agencies is, and I've been talking to agency owners about this, is like, don't be a lead gen agency anymore, right? Become a delivery company where you don't have to take the risk on the companies that you're working for or your clients. You don't want to take the risk of their, bad kind of messaging or lack of product market fit or bad offer. You're now, if you get really good at this, you can start selling your offer based on your credibility on email delivery, and understanding this is going to be a massive competitive advantage for you and your business. And there's really no barrier to entry. I mean, any sales development rep or anybody could just set up their own lead gen agency tomorrow and probably compete with really anybody in the world if they started to learn email delivery. And I'm telling you, this is a huge, not a lot of people understand this. It's kind of at the intersection of IT, sales, marketing. I mean, you got to follow people like Alex to learn, people who have been doing this for years. But I mean, just keep that in mind. Like this creates huge opportunities when it's hard and they get thrown out of their other tools. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And what I would also think about is pivoting to a similar model to what we do. So yes, X27 is a cold email lead gen agency. I'm not day-to-day on X27. The way that I make most of my money now is acquiring SaaS companies that have low revenue and then using our cold email skill and our audience and everything to grow them, raise the valuation, and sell. That's exactly what we did with Taplio and Tweet Hunter. We sold it actually to Lemlist. But that was a 7-figure acquisition we got in 3 months. And that was a no money down purchase, which we found via cold Twitter DM. So this is the true value. I've been preaching this for a long time. I've been preaching this for a long time. Like the real value. Yeah, no, the real value in cold email is not selling it to some guy for $20 a meeting or even $300 a meeting. The value is using it to go make giant deals and then using it to grow those companies and then sell those companies.
Absolutely. And remember, there's one thing about email that a lot of people forget. It's not social media, right? It's an internet protocol that exists as it doesn't matter where you are, right? Like you could be in any country, anywhere. And if you think about the impact of that, it's no one company owns it, right? Like it's just, I mean, it's been around since the, late 60s, early 70s. And that right there should tell you, what type of emails you should be sending, right? Keep them plain text, keep them low and direct and relevant, and, ask for the CTA and sort of do that. I mean, this is really a competitive advantage that your business can have. And I mean, Lord only knows how these ads right now are just rising in costs. And that's probably what is driving some of this, email warm up thing, because remember, the same people might not be spending money on ads as much, right? So that's going to shift a lot of that funds over that way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we can look at Google stock right now. It's down another 5%. It might be time to buy Google, honestly, because this is coming at the time of the AI wars right now. Google is in a heated competition with Microsoft. Microsoft owns ChatGPT. Google just announced their own AI is going live, Bard. But the problem was in the announcement tweet. They basically were talking about how Bard gets every fact right. Like it's as perfect as Google search. And then in the actual demo, it got a fact wrong. And then Google dropped 8%. Not good. Good time to buy possibly Google. I don't know. I'm on the fence because I think Google now is, I said this to somebody today, Google's on its back leg now and it's playing defensive. And I don't think Google has ever had to play defensive in its entire life. It's always been the top dog. And yet now, ChatGPT, little competition from Microsoft. The heat is on Google. And I'm worried. I'm worried as somebody who makes a lot of money from Google. I'm worried.
I got a good question for you. And you answered this one earlier, but I really thought your answer was awesome. So you're a SaaS founder. You just spent 40K, 50K. You hire, you just went through the audit. They went through everything. Your passwords aren't whatever, everything aren't in SHA to whatever encryption that they need, AES, whatever it is. And you just went through this $50,000, who knows how much it is, right? We don't know. I mean, I've heard some numbers between 20 and 50,000. Probably a lot of your own engineering resources had to go through it. So it's probably $100,000, net kind of thing. But then 3 months later, you were a sequencer with a warm-up tool. And all of a sudden you're starting to get these emails saying you got to shut down a part of your product that you've been marketing on. And you brought this up earlier, social media and some of the websites and SEO, and you built your entire content strategy around this warm-up feature and all this stuff to go, take on the big SaaS, outreach, sales loft sequencers. How would you be feeling today? You woke up today. What would be your thoughts? Like, how would that impact your day? And what would you be thinking? Would you be upset? What are the emotions that you would have in your head right now?
So somebody like AJ, who just spent this on on GMAS, he spent it a while ago. The problem that I would be having and the frustration that I would be feeling is I thought it was okay, right? So Gmail or Google sends out this message. They're like, you're going to be removed from the API unless you remove Warmup. So AJ's thinking, Lemlist is thinking, a bunch of these other guys are thinking, okay, we'll remove Warmup. We'll just make Warmup IMAP, and then it's going to be okay. And then you spend engineering resources to do that. You test. These are big tools. GMAS has 1 billion emails going out. That has to be tested. That's very expensive. You think you're fine?
Well, we can't have nice
and then
things.
Guess what? New email today. Oh, by the way, that warm-up thing that you just spent a bunch of time fixing because of our last email that told you to do that. Yeah, now that money's wasted as well. And now you're going to have to figure out the next thing. And now you're going to have to call your ad team and tell them to shut down ads that are working.
Shut down those warm-up ads. Call your sales team.
You have to tell your SEO team to delete high-ranking blog articles. And you're going to have to basically just start tearing your entire marketing engine apart. No, dude, I would not be feeling good. I would not feel
good. It's a tough day. There is a founder. I'm not gonna. I'll see if he'll come on actually, but he's in one of our groups there that you know of. You know which ones I'm talking about. He's in there and he runs. It's a good product.
The dark web email groups that nobody's allowed to know about.
He runs one of those. And he's bootstrapped. Like he's not like he doesn't have a massive VC, but he went through the audit, and I actually didn't think he did. And then when I talked to him about it, I mean, he's pretty. I know he's like, what the hell? And so they want is like you should see the type of process that these folks are going through.
Well, we thought
I shouldn't be laughing, I guess, but.
Nav, our co-founder at Omni, because this was in our backlog as well to do at Omni. He messaged me. He's like, because he didn't know about any of this. He's like, hey, it's time to do the Google review. Are you ready to get started? Like we were about to do it as well. And I was like, no, dude, we can't implement the Gmail API. It's not gonna happen, unfortunately. So let's talk to Akame. Quick question from Akame Gashu. What do you suggest our updated stack of tools be now for cold email? Personally, if you're using a high volume of leads, you could use Apollo scraping. You could use Lead Hype to pull a lot of leads in. If you want targeted leads, you can use Lead Shark. You can use Uplead. And then I would use Omni.us for the sending because we have IMAP, which is the safest now for both sending and for warm-up. Plus, we write the scripts for you. So that's going to be my stack. I recommended 4 lead gen tools and one email tool. You can use other email tools too, like. They're all good in their own ways, but my favorite, of course, is going to be Omni.us. Plus, best value right now, $49 a month for unlimited sending is the cheapest, most stable cold email tool on the market until we raise the price, which we might have to after this.
Might have to raise the price now. You got supply and demand economics on your side.
That's exactly right. DT says, where do you guys go to learn about the intricacies of email? Is it a trial by fire type thing? This is Jesse's bread and butter here.
Yeah, we just started testing it heavily. Like we just tested it, right? The other thing we did is we got that stupid domain setup stuff set up where it's like, fast and automatic, right? So we can, if you can get enough domains up and running and you can kind of send out enough emails, you really get to sense, you start to get a feeling and, you just look at your stats and you'd be like, all right, that's not working. There's been some other companies that have done some pretty good studies on this. I think QuickMail had one out that was like Office versus Office, Google versus Google, like how they deliver and all of that. But it's always, I mean, the answer is always going to be the same. I mean, it's always going to be it delivers well there, but we just test it a lot. And then when we test it, we track, we use scientific method, I guess, as close as possible, if we can, right? So that's been our motion anyways.
So, I mean, the other answer on top of that, same answer, but I'm going to probably say it in different words. Same thing you just said. Email is very easy because you send emails and then you can see all this data. If you're using reply tracking, you can see replies, you can see bounces, you can see basically deliverability, you can see replies from people. So the intricacies of email are going to be learned by sending emails. Same thing Jesse just said. Coach Pete says, appreciate you staying on top of this. Thank you. Kristen says, damn. And then he said, bravo, I think when we were talking about the acquisition. DT, thanks for the tips, fellas. Of course. Cameron, quick question from Cameron. So it sounds like using the Gmail client is the problem to do the warm-up compared to using your own email provider via cPanel. No. The problem
Get
is...
back on those things. Those things those things are tough. Everybody has those things blocked.
Yeah, the problem is not the warm-up system itself. The problem is that these guys were using Google's actual API. So imagine you're telling Google exactly what you're doing, and you're paying them for the privilege to do that. And now all of a sudden, after they've gathered all this data from you, and now they know, basically, because like Google knows all of its users. They know what they've been doing. Yeah. So now after all of this data that they've been gathering for years, billions of emails sent, now they're like, oh, by the way, this is violates the policy. So all that data that we have, that's first of all, it's our data. And then second of all, you're screwed. And also you got to spend all this money. So no, Cameron, I wouldn't recommend cPanel. I would recommend any sort of IMAP warm-up that's going to be omni-warm, that's going to be instantly not using the OAuth 2. Instantly might have some other problems right now, but that's short-lived, I hope. And then it's going to be using any of these other ones. I'm blanking on the name of the other one, Jesse.
And there's a lot of good tools out there. But I'll tell you what you really want to do is you really want to try to get this app secure password thing figured out, because remember, Google's not going to go and disable SMTP, right? Why? Mm-hmm. Because think about how many people have a client, like an email client that works on that premise, right? There's, I went to my parents for Christmas, and they're all using IMAP SMTP on their older computers, mm-hmm. right? Like they're not going to just turn that off, right? Like they're going to keep the IMAP and SMTP going, so you don't have to worry about it. However, there's going to be some more. There's a lot more things they could put in front of you, right?
Well,
two-factor stuff in front of you. They could change, they could make you verify with another phone number. I mean, there's all kinds of little traps that they kind of throw at you, but you always want to abide by the terms and services of all these platforms, as we talked about. Yeah. But
they could do it. They could do a couple things. They could remove app passwords. They could also do what you inferred but didn't want to say, which is they could remove IMAP, and they could say, hey, everyone who wants to implement Gmail has to be an approved API vendor, and the only way we're going to allow you to connect to Gmail is with an OAuth login. They could also do that. Do I think they're going to do that? No, but they could do that. They could also just use a lot more aggressive machine learning, because like we did talk about in the last stream,
they do know how to read
the algorithms are there. Yeah, the only problem with the Google spam algorithm is that it's too aggressive. So it's just finding the balance, because spam detection can be done, and it can be done well using machine learning. But if you detect emails that aren't spam, if there's too many false flags, now Gmail is just broken. You're not able to receive emails from your grandma, like you said, on SMTP sending you messages. Mm-hmm. So once
your grandparents will never have DMARC and SMTP on. I mean, SPF records on. So you're pretty safe. There's people that email, but like if you're going to be breaking into the Fortune 500, I mean, you're going to really have to think about your strategy here, and mm-hmm. who you're targeting is another thing, right, Alex? We talk about all the technical stuff, but think about the audience and the message and the offer, right? Obviously, those are the three components. The audience. If you're targeting the Fortune 500, maybe it's time for you to go a different route, because that audience is going to be a lot harder now that, if you're not totally technically savvy with the, app password, you could have to go API integration. And
yeah, I mean, anytime you're targeting the Fortune 500, by definition, what is that? That's 500 leads. The easiest way that I found is cold email and cold calling still, because these guys still live inside their emails. However, like Jesse's saying, there are other layers that you're going to have to add. You might have to start doing LinkedIn outreach, although LinkedIn now is really cracking down on that. You might have to move to the new Wild West of Twitter DMs. Although, where's the Fortune 500? Maybe there's a couple CEOs, like Elon Musk is a Fortune 500 CEO. He's on Twitter. How many of them are actually in their Twitter DMs? The best place that I've found as well for these guys is conferences. So if you start going to Dreamforce, you start going to SaaStr, you start going to some of these major conferences, you can also get in front of your clients and just follow an omni-channel approach. That's what's going to be best. Handwritten notes, sending people little bonsai trees or little gifts, just doing whatever you can to get your name out there is going to be where we're headed. Quick question here from Mohib Kadri. As freelancers in B2B, when competition is high and clients want to work with experienced people only, how can we stand out from the crowd? Also, how to cope with starting late in our career, say. Mohib, we're not doing really cold email strategy. We're doing more deliverability. My answer, though, is partner with somebody that's done it before or get a job in a cold email agency, clone what they're doing, and then start your own company using that as a case study. Okay, let's try to find relevant questions here. Similar with Christian, quick question. When you increase revenue for SaaS, are you sending cold emails to schedule demos or are you driving straight traffic to the website? Cold emails to schedule demos. You want to raise the value of your thing to at least 1,500. With Omni, when we're sending cold emails, we're selling a $6,000 package, and we have two downsells. We have a 3,000 and a 1,500. Let me find relevant questions here. Coach Pete Meadows says, with Google, it's always about the money and their bread and butter. Add money. You are right. The more they ban cold email, the more B2B companies are going to have to spend on advertising. So it's in their best interest to do this.
That's a good point.
Abhishek just says the word 50K. Very cool. Christian is sick from this. Yeah, I know. It's shocking. But imagine, in 2019, could you imagine cold email being this popular that this would even be an issue?
Did you see the other sneaky news that came out of Google with the calendar? Did you see that? They also are blocking now. This is another. I think this is probably. Look, I was not doing this. I think this is a kind of a silly way to get business or even get people on the calendar. But you could send unsolicited calendar invites, right? Some people were doing that, obviously. So they actually blocked that today too. So this has been a pretty big day for cold email. I mean, it's not like this happens all the time. I mean, this is breaking news, obviously, as we've been talking about, but. Just all of these events happening at once. I can't believe how big, this has gotten today, really.
Removing Warmup, removing calendar spam. Google announced that they're launching their own email sending tool as well. MailChimp clone, inbound emails only.
I wonder how the delivery will be on that tool.
It's going to be perfect. Of course. We hope. It sounds anti-competitive to me because now Google can just de-rank anyone using MailChimp servers. It sounds very anti-competitive to me. But I tweeted this as well. I'm like, if Google is going to lose search, which is where they make the majority of their ad revenue, they're losing it to Microsoft. They're now going to have to get profitability from all these other apps. Like Google Workspace probably will go up in cost. It's $6. Maybe it'll be $60 per seat. Who knows? You might be able to pay to rank up on SEO on Google search. Who knows? Now that they need money, anything is on the table here. More ads on YouTube. Maybe pay to play on YouTube. Who knows what's going to happen? Christian,
fascinating.
Yeah. Christian says, can IMAP SMTP be blocked eventually? No. What's cool is it's decentralized. Think of IMAP and SMTP more like Bitcoin versus the US dollar. It's completely decentralized. No one owns IMAP and SMTP. It doesn't matter. And they can't stop it. There's nothing they can do. And they all support it because it's the base of email. It's how emails are sent.
It would have to be like your country was like firewalling you off of it, right? So it's too big of a, I mean, there's 350 billion emails a day, right? So no, I mean, this isn't where it's at, but this is big news especially in the cold email world. Just having to rely, you're going to have to go back to I don't know, but it's just I think about the sale, I was a sales development rep at one point and just thinking about that of like, how the hell am I going to get my IT team to go backdoor their Google workspace, the number one attack vector in their company is always going to be email, right? Because people get phished, right? Like click the link, they always click it, right? Everybody would click a link with dancing bears. It's just the way life is. And I mean, they're going to go to their IT team and try to make an argument to do an off Google, not secure. I mean, good luck. You're going to have, not only you're going to have the IT team, you're going to have the security team, you're going to have the ops team. I mean, I could just imagine the pitchforks coming out if you try to go suggest this to your company right now.
So create an app password, which gives you full backdoor access to all of our email accounts, and also make it as the CEO's name.
Yeah, give me the CEO's app password, right? Like, I mean, come on, like it's just not gonna. I mean, it's not reasonable, right? Like, it's kind of like even Alex wouldn't do it, right? Like, and he loves cold email, right? You know,
I would do it as my little company. Would I do it as JP Morgan? Would I do it as like a big bank? Yeah, exactly. Okay, a lot of people are asking about Instantly, so let's talk about it one more time, and then we're gonna have to wrap this because I actually have a live that I'm doing for AppSumo after this. Why is Instantly auth method an issue? So OAuth is the one getting banned. OAuth 2 is like an off-brand offshoot of that, where you can basically use Google login for brands that aren't approved by Google. And the reason why this is an issue is Google can track everything they're doing the exact same way. They just haven't approved the app for use within the API. So they can remove that the same way. They can track the apps the same way. They can learn what they're doing in Warmup using that, and then also use that to catch the IMAP warmups as well. Akame, would you talk about the value of set? This is going to be in the Freedom Manifesto. This is going to be in the new book. Do you know what Instantly uses? Are they affected? Instantly uses both OAuth 2 and IMAP. If you're using OAuth 2 with your Instantly account, switch back now to IMAP and app passwords.
Get ahead of it so you know it works, because what'll happen is one day you'll be sitting there and you're like, oh, I got to go take 50 domain names and do an app password. And by the way, that's not fun. I've done that before. It's a real painful experience. So go try it now and just test it and make sure it works, and get going.
Especially if you don't have 30 phones and you're having to switch SIM cards now to restart these email accounts that you've forgotten about. It's bad. Nobody wants to do
a really bad day. I've done it before.
Nobody wants to do this. Yeah. Sherry says, do you use humor and charm in your cold emails? This is more about cold email deliverability, but I use it when I can, for sure. MC Bison, could you get banned from sending to Gmail accounts but fine with others? There's no banned. Email is decentralized. There's no getting
banned on email. It's not like Twitter.
No.
You can't get deplatformed on email. So just remember that.
I love you, Alex. Thank you, and Jesse. Very nice.
Thank you.
Okay, so I got to do this AppSumo thing.
Good Jesse, thanks. I'll watch that. I'm going to be watching that, so that's going to be a big event. Are you guys, wait? Are you guys announcing? Are you guys doing a lifetime deal or no?
Can't talk about it yet. I mean, can't say anything about it. If we do, though, it would be like end of Q2. Yeah. Okay. So, guys, if you want to learn cold email deliverability, I would check out Jesse Olet's course. Jesse, what's the URL on your course?
Yep. You just go to community.leadmagic.io. And inside there, we have a community, and it's right in there. You can go and check it out. We're really big on deliverability. If you're looking for more of a copy and like how to write the emails, it's probably more, I'd recommend Alex's course. We've tried to focus on the infrastructure that it takes to send cold emails now. So, let me know. Drop me a DM on LinkedIn. I had somebody actually earlier today. I'll definitely hook you up with a coupon code and make it worth your while. Thank you.
Very nice. And then if you guys want, so if you're worried, if you're like, oh, I'm on GMass, are my account ruined? I'm using Lemlist and they sneakily have changed their warm-up and haven't announced anything about this. Oh no, Mailshake, same thing. I'm on the annual plan of Mailshake and now I can't use warm-up. If you want to move over all your accounts to Omni, we have a new offer right now where we will migrate all your data. So if you want all of your past campaigns from Mailshake, you want all of that data to be alive in a new platform where it's $49 a month for unlimited sending, then pop on over to omni.us. Once you're signed up, hit up the team, book your free setup call, and bring this up with them, and we can get everything migrated over for free. So check that out at omni.us. us. Jesse, thanks for being here. And guys, thanks
you guys.
for watching. We'll be back at
Thank
some
you.
point soon with some more breaking news. All right, take care, guys.